South Park has always been very famous for being really super nice to celebrities. Yes, South Park is a show that has always respected actors and singers because they know how great and important they are, and they would totally never spend an entire episode making fun of Jennifer Lopez just because they don't like her.
My name is Jennifer Lopez, and I like tacos and burritos.
Or, they would. Season 7's Fat Butt and Pancake Head is a Jennifer Lopez takedown episode that came out at the peak of her fame and career. At that time, she had songs everywhere, movies everywhere, and she was constantly in tabloids and commercials. So it was basically impossible to escape her. And let's just say that Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they weren't very big fans of that, and they decided to let the world know by doing what they do best, turning it into an episode of South Park. Now, I could go on about how this is one of the most iconic episodes of all time, and why it's one of my favorites, but I'll save that for the breakdown, because the only thing that you really need to know is that some episodes of South Park are deep, some episodes of South Park are smart, and some episodes just mercilessly crap on Jennifer Lopez.
The Latino community has provided America, and indeed the entire world, with innovations that we would be lost without. And that is my presentation on the role of Hispanics in American technology. Thank you.
Damn, that's one old looking assembly shot. You guys seeing this? There's like barely any kids in there compared to the modern episodes. How far we've come. As per usual with these episode breakdowns, I gotta do my opening scene analysis and tell you what I think makes it so good, because I'm a goddamn South Park glazer and I refuse to apologize for it. Now, interestingly, though Kyle has a fairly small role in this episode, it actually opens up with him. Specifically, him doing a presentation on the role of Hispanics in American technology, which he's doing in front of a council of Latinos that is randomly at South Park Elementary for Diversity Day. And in my eyes, this opening situation is here to set up a few important things. One is that the setting is supposed to be fairly serious. I mean, the fact that a Latino council is here to pick the best presentation winner gives a certain weight to whatever is said on stage. And obviously that's going to be leveraged for comedic effect once Cartman gets up there. But what I find more interesting is how it sets up the loose background narrative of this episode. Because while this story is mostly focused on the shenanigans of a ridiculous hand puppet, Cartman has an underlying goal throughout the whole thing, which is that he wants to get a one-up over Kyle. He just wants to put Kyle in his place and tease him over it. And this opening sequence establishes that pattern by having Cartman come up on stage for one final speech right after Mackie tells Kyle that his presentation is likely to win.
Members of the school board, our last speaker will discuss the important role of Latinos in the arts. Here is Eric Cartman. Eric Cartman?
Now, I know, I cut it off right before we got to the good part, but I still need to explain one more thing first, okay? So calm your tits. Also, I'm trying to keep this video nice and transformative, which means my clips can only be like 10 to 15 seconds or so at a time. Now, anybody who knows anything about Cartman kinda already knows what to expect. He's racist, incredibly offensive, and he's on stage in front of the Latino Endowment Council. So you just know that he's gonna piss people off. But here's the thing, his presentation, and pretty much everything in this episode that follows, is actually a giant subversion. Because even though Cartman is going to be just as racist as you might expect, his actions are actually not gonna piss off the council or the teachers at school. In fact, he's gonna win them over in the stupidest way possible, which in my opinion is a big part of what makes the joke of this episode land so well. That things don't go how you expect them to, and everybody takes the bait.
The Latino culture has been very influential on the arts in America. But you don't have to ask me. You can ask my special guest, Miss Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez? Miss Lopez, come on out here.
Hello? Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, the second that hand puppet showed up, you just knew this was gonna be a good one. Now there's one last thing I wanna say here in terms of setting up the episode before we move on, and that's the simple fact that this is not a Cartman character study. In many ways, it's disguised as one, and I know it feels like one because Cartman is on screen for almost all of the runtime. Plus the whole hand puppet thing is totally an extension of his psychotic personality. But the truth is, this episode doesn't really have that much in common with other character study episodes like Breast Cancer Show Ever, Scott Tenorman Must Die, or Casa Bonita. And that's because it's not focused on Cartman's psychology or the consequences of his actions. It's focused on Jennifer Lopez. So you see, this isn't a Cartman episode, it's a celebrity takedown episode. Cartman and his crazy antics and even the dynamic between him and Kyle, that's all just being used as a vehicle for the takedown. It's secondary to the main point of the story, which is to rip on J-Lo and Ben Affleck for being talentless assholes. At least in the eyes of Trey Parker and Matt Stone, and that's arguably the most subversive aspect of this opening scene. Because we don't really know what the focus of this episode is going to be until we meet Jennifer Lopez.
My name is Jennifer Lopez. I eat tacos y
Miss Lopez, would you like to talk about Latinos in the arts?
Oh, si. But first, I would like to put on my pretty dress.
Oh, you mean this one?
Oh, si. I like it very much.
There we go. It's all right.
It's all right.
You know what I love about this hand puppet thing is that it lines up so consistently with Cartman's established character traits. Like, we know that he loves to play with dolls, that he does little voices for them, and that he even has a penchant for channeling female characters in particular, you know, like he does with Polly Prissy Pants, or when he dresses up like Britney Spears at the end of Osimo, or even in Butterballs when the school is singing an anti-bullying song and Cartman starts singing about his vajayjay.
My heart said yes, but my vajayjay said no.
Man, it's just dawning on me that Cartman, Stewie, and Roger all seem to have this character trait in common. They just can't resist that drag. But yeah, the point is that it's very fitting that Cartman would choose to embody this alternate persona version of J-Lo on his hand. That way it's not just a hilarious approach to making fun of her, but it's also a very creative and in-character way to go about it. It's very grounded in the show's established history, which I think deserves some recognition. It's good stuff. Anyway, speaking of Jennifer Lopez, which is how I'm gonna refer to the hand version of the character so that it's not confusing later, she's a classic example of how South Park uses their idiot-filled world to make fun of celebrities. Because let's be real, this hand puppet is racist as hell. I mean, she's supposed to be Jennifer Lopez, but she's also Mexican because Cartman conflates all Latino people with Mexicans, which is also why the only thing she ever talks about is tacos and burritos. But while this should go over poorly with everyone, especially the council, in the world of South Park, it's praised. And that's because, as far as the people of the show can tell, there's no difference between the real J-Lo and a hand with lipstick.
Don't be fooled by all my money. I still like to eat tacos, honey. So crispy on the outside, so super good and yummy.
And that is my presentation on Latinos in the arts. Thank you.
I like that Kyle is the only one that seems to be horrified by the presentation. I mean, even Stan is kind of getting into it. And that's because Kyle is the stand-in for a regular, normal person, like he often is in the show. He's the voice of reason. And as usual, this makes him a point of contrast for Cartman. Now, in a character study episode, a character like Kyle's personality would usually highlight how rotten Cartman's personality is. But here, Kyle's role is actually a lot more similar to how we often see Butters in the episodes that pair him with Cartman. He's the victim. And in this case, the fact that he's rational and grounded is actually his weakness, because his refusal to buy into Cartman's antics is exactly what causes him to suffer, since the world around him is so stupid. And that's what ends up being the underlying thread in the Cartman vs. Kyle storyline of this episode. The more success Cartman has with his dumb hand puppet, the more pissed off Kyle gets. Which kind of reminds me of that joke from It Hits the Fan, where Cartman is constantly making fun of Kyle for having sand in his vagina, only in this case it's built into the punchline of the episode.
I don't think Kyle likes you, Miss Lopez.
Oh, that makes me muy triste.
Miss Lopez, do you like Kyle?
Oh, si, very much.
Miss Lopez, would you like to give Kyle a kiss?
Oh, si, my kisses taste like tacos.
Man, I could have just had an entire episode full of this, and I would have been happy. Because, like, by the time he said, muy triste, I was done. Like, seriously. Just give me a bunch of Cartman with Kyle scenes and I'm good. But of course, that would be taking the easy way out, and that's not how we do things here in the town of South Park. This ain't Family Guy. So instead, the Jennifer Lopez routine evolves into something much bigger. It turns into the total annihilation of Jennifer Lopez. And like, yeah, I know we've obviously gotten started with the hand puppet thing, but we're not really there yet. We don't really get into the meat of the takedown until Cartman goes into the video store and pays to make a music video. That's because in this episode, a lot of the most savage commentary about J-Lo happens through the legitimization of Jennifer Lopez. Like the way people treat her like she's the real deal, even though she's clearly a hand. But I actually like that. I like that the episode isn't in a rush to get there. The story has breathing room and things get to develop organically, which allows things to naturally unfold into a twisty-turny little adventure as it goes. That way, we get a nice build towards the main plot of the episode. The Cartman and Kyle stuff is just a good jumping off point.
How much to make a video?
Well, it's $9.95 for a 3-minute tape.
Ha! We're not paying $9.95.
Oh, please, come on, guys. Cartman, will you stop this gayness?
All right. Here's $10.
Just want to point out that on the walls of this music place are pictures of Elton John, Marilyn Manson, some band I'm failing to recognize, and of course, His Holiness, Phil Collins. Now, part of the genius of this episode is how convincing the hand puppet shtick is. Like, Cartman does an insanely good job at making it seem like Jennifer Lopez is actually an independent personality that he has no control over. It really feels like she has her own agency and personality, which makes people want to believe it's real. Even Stan initially talks to Cartman's hand at the mall instead of Cartman himself. And like, yeah, obviously this is mainly being done to piss off Kyle, like I mentioned earlier, but his commitment to the bit has this secondary effect of leading on the audience as well. Because not only does it seem increasingly real as the episode goes on, but the lengths that Cartman goes to requires him to betray his own instincts on multiple occasions. For example, just a little bit before this clip I showed, the boys are walking through a mall eating tacos. And we know that Cartman is a greedy, chicken skin eating fat piece of shit. But despite this, Cartman chooses to feed the tacos to his hand, effectively wasting his food and his money just to make Jennifer Lopez seem more real. Now, it's a pretty small gesture, but it works because he's betraying his typical character traits. Cartman loves food and money. He wouldn't usually be willing to give them up, and so this sort of intentional self-betrayal starts to create a sense of doubt within the audience. And that doubt allows us to buy into the possibility that maybe Cartman actually isn't in control here, which is a feeling that they dial up as the episode goes on.
Don't think just because I got a lot of money, I'll give you taco flavored kisses, honey. Fulfill all your wishes with my taco flavored kisses.
You know, I couldn't do a video on this episode without playing the legendary song, but seriously, taco flavored kisses has got to be one of the most iconic moments in the entire series. I mean, between the ridiculous premise, the lyrics, and the fact that the song is actually pretty catchy, it just hits you in a special place, you know? You don't forget moments like this. Now, is it the best Jennifer Lopez song in the episode? Maybe. We're obviously gonna have to do an obligatory song ranking after we've heard them all, but it's a damn good song. And it begs the question, did Cartman really just come up with this whole thing on the spot? Because I know the kid has songwriting talent and that he could even freestyle a Wiki Wild West song or two, but still, pulling taco flavored kisses out of thin air like that, that's pretty impressive.
She's fantastic. Who is she?
Believe it or not, her name is Jennifer Lopez.
Well, that makes sense. She reminds me of J-Lo.
Yeah, but she's younger and spicier.
Okay, so now we're starting to get into the meat of the celebrity takedown. The real reason that Trey and Matt made this episode in the first place. They hate Jennifer Lopez. They think she sucks, they think she's talentless, and they think she's replaceable. That's why the record execs in this scene are getting so excited over the music video. Because from their perspective, there's really no difference between Jennifer Lopez and a girl that's actually a hand, because as long as she looks good on camera and has that Latin flair for marketing purposes, she's the next best thing. In fact, she's better, because she's spicier. And that's kind of what I meant when I said that the most savage commentary happens via the legitimization of Jennifer Lopez. Because as the episode goes on, she replaces the real J-Lo more and more, even going so far as to take over her personal life with Ben Affleck. And again, I can't stress this enough, this is all happening despite the fact that she's a hand, and that her personality is so thin that it can be found on the menu of a Mexican restaurant. So none of that prevents her from replacing the real J-Lo, because the real J-Lo just sucks that hard, according to this episode.
Yes, this is Miss Lopez. Uh-huh.
What?
Oh my God, I can't believe it!
Hello, you still there?
They want to sign me to the record company!
Should I be asking how Cartman can hear what they're saying in this conversation when the phone is held up to his hand? Is there even a point? No, there's no point. Now, in my eyes, the main function of this scene is that it does more of that audience misleading stuff that I was talking about earlier. Because the people on the phone, they can't see Cartman right now. There's no reason for him to be committing this hard to the bit, and he definitely didn't need to hold the phone up to his hand like that. But because he does, it just plants more of those seeds of doubt in the minds of the audience. It's a simple technique, but it's especially effective because it escalates as the episode continues. Like, back in the mall, our only real reason to question the situation was that Cartman was wasting food and money. But now, we're starting to see things that make less and less sense. Things that make us question why any of this is happening at all. And that blurring of the lines between stupidity and reality is the reason this episode works as well as it does.
There, that's 3 more songs we've written already. Your style of music is so easy, it doesn't require any thought at all.
Goddamn, do I ever love the cheap shots in this episode. Like, there are so many funny lines throughout this thing, but I swear, some of the best jokes are in those quick little jabs. Especially because they immediately move past them like they're not even significant. Like they're just inherently true and don't require any special emphasis. I mean, Cartman just makes that joke about her songs being mindless, and then it quickly shifts to him drawing closed eyes on his hand to make it sleepy. Now, I feel like for an episode that's this bonkers, this is gonna be a big claim, but I think this might be the craziest scene in the entire episode. And my reason for that is because in it, both Cartman and his hand have full-on dream sequences. Cartman dreams of teasing Kyle, and Jennifer Lopez dreams of being famous. And while I know that obviously this scene is just doing something funny for the gag, and maybe also for the audience misdirection, for those of us that already know that the hand thing is a charade, what exactly does that imply here? Like, is Cartman pretend dreaming with his hand and fake murmuring about it in his sleep? Like, bro, this kid is psychotic. He's playing games on levels we can't understand. I know I'm not supposed to take it that seriously, but the implications of the ending does make this scene very funny. Also, I enjoy how in the dream sequences, Jennifer Lopez is just this disembodied floating hand that just awkwardly goes down the red carpet and sings on her stage with the, wait a minute, is that who I think that is? Girl from the assembly shot that has no other significance to this episode?
Miss Lopez, we regret to inform you that, we're dropping you from the label.
What? Oh, no, you didn't!
We want to thank you for all your hard work and talent.
Okay, this man right here, funniest guy in the whole scene. Those air quotes on talent are savage as f***. Dude's a legend. Exactly what I was talking about when I said that the quick jabs in this episode are some of the funniest. Now, the scene marks the beginning of the second act of the episode, and it opens with our first glimpse of the real Jennifer Lopez, which I think is great from a pacing perspective. Because as I mentioned earlier, they did a great job of letting this story unfold organically. And so it was a smart move to wait until this point before introducing the real JLo, because that way it gives the audience sufficient time to develop a sense of rapport with Jennifer Lopez. We've become endeared to her, which allows us to quickly accept JLo as the antagonist in her story. And so it basically marks a turning point for the episode. From here on out, it's gonna be a non-stop onslaught of celebrity takedown goodness, as evidenced by this scene that is clearly just here to lambast JLo as much as they can.
Who the hell is this other Jennifer Lopez? Where is she come from?
Well, she lives in South Park, Colorado now, but I believe she's originally from Mexico, just like you.
See what I mean? This dude drops all the funniest lines in this scene. He's like the ultimate roaster and he just does it so casually. Anyways, I love how this portrayal of JLo is so aggressive and hood sounding. Just for the record, this is what JLo actually sounded like in interviews around the time of this episode.
I'm in the street and people are like, JLo, and it's nice, but then I'm like, you can just call me Jennifer.
But yeah, the part where she's acting like a huge entitled bitch that expects everybody to treat her like she's God's gift to Earth, apparently that's actually pretty accurate. A lot of the fans who've met her or the people who've worked with her at the height of her career have shared stories about her acting like a narcissistic prick to anyone that isn't her friend. So yeah, she kinda had a pretty bad reputation in Hollywood, which I'm guessing Trey and Matt were aware of given their connections to the scene. And in my opinion, that only makes this parody that much more satisfying, because there's nothing better than a South Park takedown on someone who truly deserves it. Also, this just seems like a good time to show that clip where she goes back to the block.
I used to live here. Huh? I used to live here. Huh? What is your name? My name is Jennifer. Jennifer? Yeah, I used to live and my room was upstairs right there. Jennifer Lopez.
Who's Jennifer Lopez?
Me.
You could just tell that pissed her off.
How'd it go, baby?
Terrible, Ben! Some girl in Colorado's trying to become the new Jennifer Lopez! Shut up!
Now, while this episode obviously clowns on Ben Affleck a fair bit, he's not really the main focus. He's more of a side quest type beat. And this scene acts as the perfect example of how their approach differs from one parody to the other. Ben is mostly just a dumb, self-centered guy. He might like himself a little too much, but otherwise he seems fairly innocent and nice. Meanwhile, JLo throws dogs out of windows. And you might be wondering, why go after Ben at all? I mean, he didn't have the same negative reputation that JLo did, as far as I'm aware. Well, I don't have the exact answer for you, but I have a feeling that it's got something to do with the way that Trey Parker and Matt Stone feel about actors in general.
But really, the main reason we wanted to do puppets was just because we hate actors. All of them.
Everybody.
Every single goddamn one of them. You know, there's no lamer thing you can be in the world than an actor.
Now, I think it's worth pointing out that Trey and Matt seem to have always disliked Ben. That's why he was the final punchline at the end of How to Eat With Your Butt in season 5. It also probably didn't help that he was basically everywhere at the time, so people were pretty overexposed to him. But my all-time favorite fact about Ben Affleck in relation to this episode is what Trey and Matt say on the director's commentary regarding the size of his head.
Pancake Head came from, I think we were at a party and we met Ben Affleck, or we saw him, and he has a really, really flat face. It was remarkable.
His head does look like a pancake. If you notice in Ben Affleck movies, they never show him profile because his face, his head is completely flat, actually.
Hey, everybody, listen up. I've got something to tell Kyle.
What?
I don't know what gets me more, the fact that Cartman addressed the whole class just to laugh at Kyle, or the fact that I've never heard anyone sing the entire Na 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 song to completion before watching this episode. Now I'm gonna be real with you. What I'm about to say next is a stupid nitpick that doesn't actually matter. But since I'm basically overanalyzing the out of this episode anyways, I'm gonna say it. Why did Cartman come to class wearing a glove over his puppet hand? Doesn't that seem like a weird choice, given that he's been committing to the bit so hard this whole time? Especially since Kyle is there and he's been Cartman's main target. Like, come on, we just saw him keep up the act in his goddamn sleep a few scenes ago. You're telling me he'd make the mistake of wearing a glove to school after all that? Nah, bro, that's not my evil genius, Cartman. Anyways, I don't really have anything substantial to say about this scene, because it's really just a segue to get to J-Lo and Ben Affleck, who show up at South Park Elementary in hopes of finding Jennifer Lopez.
If I find the hoe who thinks she's taking my career from me, I'm gonna wring her pretty little neck. So, nobody wants to fess up, huh? Too scared to talk?
Do I even need to ask why they'd be checking in elementary school for the replacement Jennifer Lopez? Like, does that imply that J-Lo was prepared to strangle a child? Because I'm gonna go with yes. Yes, it does.
You can suck my culo, chica!
Who was that?
This confrontation between the two J-Los happens at around the halfway point of this episode, which might seem kind of early at first, considering that their showdown is basically the perfect climax for an episode like this. But this episode is structured really well, so they don't actually treat this as the real showdown. I mean, yes, we do get a nice heated exchange out of this moment, and it is very funny, but the real purpose of this scene is actually for it to act as an inciting incident for one of the subplots of this episode, which is our dear old Ben falling in love with Jennifer. And that subplot is very important because it'll go on to fuel the real confrontation that happens at the end of the episode, making it far more climactic. Also, it's a great moment for them to show how increasingly unhinged the real J-Lo is willing to be, and to use Cartman as their mouthpiece to rip into her even more.
Hola, bichola!
That's what replaced me?
I'm sure it was just a mistake.
Only mistake was when this ghetto trash got signed in the first place. Shut your goddamn mouth.
See, now this is what I'm talking about. Look how concerned Cartman looks while his hand is talking J-Lo, or the way he tells it to shut its mouth right after. That's the level of audience misleading psychopathy I wanted earlier. Anyways, I feel like I've spent a good deal of time talking about how this hand puppet bit is designed to roast J-Lo, and how it's incredibly funny that she's losing her entire career to a hand, especially when we're seeing her have that realization. And it goes without saying that Cartman is completely insane for doing everything he's doing in this episode. But like, in spite of all the nuanced analysis I can provide behind this bit, at the end of the day, the real reason that we're seeing this is because it's funny as hell. There's just something about Cartman doing this Mexican hand puppet thing that's irresistibly charming and stupid. And those are like the exact qualities that make me love South Park in the first place. In a lot of ways, it kind of harkens back to those old South Park episodes, like when Mr. Garrison still had Mr. Hat. Actually, come to think of it, they're both easily the most offensive characters on the show, so it's kind of a weird coincidence that they both have hand puppets. Actually, come to think of it, Mr. Hat was implied to be alive too at multiple points in the show. Is that an intentional thing? Or do Trey and Matt just have like a weird thing for puppets? Yeah.
Baby, let's make a run for the border. I've got a hunger only tacos can't stop. I know exactly what I'll order. 3 tacos, 2 tostadas, and a soda pop.
Gentlemen, we have ourselves a hit.
No, it's not time for the obligatory song ranking section yet, but yes, this song absolutely slaps. And yes, it is making me hungry for tostadas. Just look at that sexy thing. But none of that matters because the studio microphone is set up in front of a hand. How are they getting such a good sound out of him? Magic.
Hey, I was wondering if I could talk to Miss Lopez.
She's not here right now.
Ben? Is that my darling Ben?
Jenny? Yes, Jenny, it's me. Where are you? Please, I have to see her.
You know what's made this episode age kind of poorly? Argo. Remember that movie Ben Affleck directed back in 2012? The one that was actually pretty good? The one that was so good that it pissed off Butters to the point that he had to go to Hawaii to cope with it?
All right, fine. Argo is a good movie. There, I admitted it. I told people it didn't hold up, but it holds up, goddarn it. Ben Affleck has everything. Rah!
Yeah, Matt and Trey actually have some level of respect for Ben Affleck now. How things have changed. Oh well, they didn't back then. Now I gotta admit, this aspect of the episode, the romance between Ben and Cartman's hand, it's gotta be one of the weirdest and creepiest things to happen in all of South Park. And I mean, I know we're supposed to treat Jennifer Lopez like she's an actual separate character that isn't attached to Cartman, especially since he does such an amazing job of making it seem that way with his vocal abilities.
I don't care, 'cause everyone's gonna get in trouble if you don't. Okay, oh, well, whatever. Okay, fine.
Okay, Ben, let's go.
But no matter how you cut it, this is ultimately a budding romance between Ben Affleck and an 8-year-old boy's hand, which is extremely messed up. And so I'm just shocked that they were able to get away with this at all. And that's not even getting into how horrifyingly far they take it later in this episode.
Oh, Ben.
I love this idea that Ben Affleck just has to be in love with the current Jennifer Lopez. Like he's just so down bad for some J-Lo that he'll immediately fall for whoever becomes the new J-Lo, taking her to those famous beaches in South Park, Colorado. Ah yes, it's like a scene from a J-Lo rom-com. Is this South Park or is this Gigli? I can't tell the difference. Yeah, as weird as this scene is from Ben Affleck's perspective, and trust me, it's weird, I think the most screwed up part is that Cartman is putting himself through all this just to win a silly game. And I feel like that's why, at first impression, it's easy to group this episode in with Scott Tenorman or Casa Bonita, because it definitely does have that element of Cartman doing these weird, psychopathic, manipulative things for some ulterior motive. But I think the big difference is that in this episode, those actions don't really reveal any deeper aspects of his character, they're just played entirely for laughs. The only thing that comes close to resembling a true look into his psyche is the joke that happens at the very end of the episode when he laughs at Kyle. But if we're being real, that only tells us what we already know, which is the same thing that this scene is telling us. Cartman is insane.
Can I kiss you?
No! Yes, oh yes, Ben, kiss me!
Just like tacos.
Taco-flavored kisses for my Ben.
Yeah, we're not gonna be able to show that scene because I don't think I can have that on my channel. In fact, I refuse to even describe what happens for the safety of my channel. So we're just gonna move on now.
Oh, baby, baby, can I have your tacos? Those tacos sure look good. I'm just Jenny from the hood.
Do you guys know what time it is? That's right, it's finally time for the obligatory song ranking section! Because I can't imagine a better way to honor Jennifer Lopez than by ranking her best songs. Now don't worry, I'll make this quick, but yes, we do have to do this because that's what makes it obligatory. Try reading a dictionary for once, bigot. In fourth place, we have Jenny from the Hood. Yeah, that song we just heard, easy pick for last place. I mean, I like that they're making fun of Jenny from the Block, but this thing lasts like 2 seconds and it's barely a song, so comes in last.
Ooh, can I have your tacos? Stop!
In third place, Taco Flavored Kisses. Bet you're surprised by that one, aren't you? Look, don't get me wrong, the song is great, and I love the little ad-libs of taco taco, burrito burrito. And like I said before, this is probably the most iconic song from the episode. But the truth is, the other songs in this episode make me laugh harder, and that's really the only criteria I'm going with here, so this one gets third. In second place, Ben, You Are So Perfect. Now I think this one might seem like a little bit of a weird choice at first, especially given that it's not immediately as hilarious as the other songs. But the second half of this song is so funny that I absolutely had to rank it this high. Because as soon as she starts singing about how Ben almost makes her forget about tacos, I'm dead.
You almost make me forget all about tacos. Ooh, tacos so good in my tummy, yummy, yummy, give me more.
And in first place, the one and only Run for the Border. I don't know if that's actually the real name of the song, but that's what we're going with. To me, this song is like the superior version of Taco Flavored Kisses. It's got a better melody, a better beat. She sings about more foods than just tacos and burritos. I mean, we're talking tostadas and soda pops. So what can I say? This is elevated Jennifer Lopez style music.
If you pay, I'll take off my top. Do you remember what I want to order? 3 tacos, 2 tostadas, and a soda pop.
Okay, I'm done my stupid song ranking now. We can go back to the episode.
You little snot nose! You ruined my career and now you're trying to steal my man?
You know, I'd be pissed too if I was a famous musician and then some sexier version of me came along, busting out all these sick tracks that totally blew my talentless ass out of the water. By this point in the episode, Jennifer Lopez has become so legitimized that she's practically taken over every aspect of J-Lo's life. And I like that there's this inverse progression where the more successful Jennifer Lopez becomes, the more unhinged the real J-Lo becomes. I mean, like, we're at the point now where she's attacking a little boy with a baseball bat. The decline is real. And what makes this so funny to me is that in real life, J-Lo hated this episode, so her disdain for Cartman's hand puppet is actually a real thing.
When she would walk by, some of the like lower like the PAs and the Crips would go, "Ooh, tacos, I love tacos." And that she got so mad and had to fire people, but it just kind of kept, like, she kept hearing it in the distance, like people saying stuff from this episode, and that made me so happy.
Yeah.
Guys, I need to talk to you. What's the matter? I can't handle it anymore. All the fame and the Ben Affleck spooge, I just can't go on living with Miss Lopez.
So stop doing it.
Stop doing what?
You know goddamn well what. Now get out of here.
Yes, I skipped that scene. You know the one. I'm not going to explain what happened there. Just going to say that the Tooth Fairy was extra happy with Cartman that morning. Anyways, I feel like my commentary has been so hyper-focused on the J-Lo stuff that we haven't had enough time to talk about Kyle in this episode. Now, we all know that Cartman is doing this to get a rise out of Kyle, and that eventually, at the end of the episode, that's going to pay off with one of the best moments in the entire series. But I think it's important to remember that a large part of that payoff comes from Kyle's resolve, not just Cartman's commitment to the bit. I mean, think about it. At pretty much every point in this episode, Kyle has been extremely stubborn in his responses to Cartman.
Stop wasting the tacos on your hand, Cartman. Cartman, you need to stop this stupid little game you're playing. Stop it, Cartman! What? I can see your lips moving. That does it. I'm out.
He firmly grounds himself in reality, while Cartman is consistently making a joke of reality. But because of that, because of his unwavering resolve throughout this story, it's so much funnier at the end when he finally breaks. So it's not just the Cartman insanity that makes the final punchline so good, it's the cracking of Kyle's shell.
You're not actually buying this crap, are you?
I don't know, maybe he can't help it.
Look, he knows full well what he's doing, and he's just waiting for us to buy into it, and then he'll laugh and point in our faces and say, "Ha ha, I got you guys to believe me. You guys are stupid."
I think that this exact moment right here is why it's so funny that Kyle's shell eventually cracks. Because not only does he have resolve, but he's literally 100% on to Cartman in every conceivable way. Like straight up, this is the punchline of the Cartman vs. Kyle story. He already knows what's gonna happen. But the question is, how do we get from point A to point B without it feeling jarring that Kyle would have this sudden change of heart? Well, this episode does it through a clever use of structure, because once Stan and Kyle leave Cartman out of anger, the episode begins to reintroduce every consequence of his actions throughout the whole thing, which creates this scenario that is so chaotic that it actually gives plausibility to the idea that maybe Cartman didn't plan or want any of this.
I've been looking all over for you, baby. Miss Lopez, you were due in the studio 2 hours ago. Come on.
So you're getting married, huh?
Now, I've always thought that the escalation in the scene was handled super well, because Cartman has been messing with every single person here for like the entire episode. So there's absolutely no reason to feel bad for him or believe that he's a victim. Yet the way that Ben, J-Lo, and the record execs all come at him feels so uncontrolled. Like they're doing this of their own volition and Cartman never saw it coming, especially with the Puerto Rican chainsaw massacre over here and how she has Cartman literally running for his life. And that puts the audience and Kyle in the same position, where it doesn't really matter if we buy into the dumb hand routine, because everyone else in this world does, and that's created a set of real consequences. And those real consequences are what give this finale a truly climactic and tense feeling, even though this has largely just been a silly episode for most of its runtime, which is just another testament to how well written this episode is. Because I mean, it's not like we've been getting a slow buildup of tension here. This isn't Breast Cancer Show Ever or Casa Bonita with their direct, suspenseful through lines that lead us into the ending. This is just a very clever and natural way of leveraging the story elements to create a feeling of urgency when it's needed. And I really like that.
Arrest that woman! She wants to kill one of our artists!
All right, you're going downtown, Bean Breath.
Jenny! Oh, I thought I was going to lose you. Let's run away and get married tonight!
Bean Breath has got to be one of the most out-of-pocket lines in this whole episode, holy shit. At this point, I think it's safe to say that all hell has broken loose, and that Cartman has completely lost control of the situation. Or at least, that's what he wants us to think. Which brings us to Cartman's gambit, the Hail Mary play that gets him out of this situation, Mitch Connor.
I'm not who you think I am. I am not Jennifer Lopez. I am...
Mitch Connor.
Take note of the fact that even Kyle gasps here, a subtle indication that he's starting to let his guard down. Now, given what we know about Cartman, I'm honestly not sure if this whole thing was planned out or if this is just the world's greatest sequence of improv. But what I love most about his solution here is that it's childish. This is all just a stupid game to him. Except this time, we're not playing with dolls in the backyard anymore. We've graduated to a new level of play. Now Cartman is playing his game with real people and real lives, mixing them into his fantasy world as if they were one of his dolls.
Now I've ruined a singer's career, lost a record company millions, and cost this little boy his precious time.
Stop it!
Mostly I'm sorry to you, Ben. I'm sorry I played tiddlywinks with your heart.
Oh, you know getting real when people start busting out the tiddlywinks. Yeah, nobody wants to get tiddlywinked. Nah, but for real, are we at the point where I can just gush now? Can I just talk about how awesome this ending is now? It's just so completely insane. Like, it was one thing when Cartman orchestrated an evil plan for revenge in the Scott Tenorman episode. That was dark, but this is far more chaotic. This is some giant troll type shit. And I love that, because that's exactly how you end a crazy episode like this. Cartman has been acting like a giant troll for this entire story. At the root level, his hand puppet thing was always just a ridiculous way to screw with people, and since everyone in town has been so stupid that they actually bought into his lies, it eventually led to this situation on the bridge. So how do you end a story that's gotten this absurd? You go even stupider and troll even harder. You make the situation even more ridiculous and difficult to believe, because crazy got you into this mess, then crazy's gonna get you out. And Cartman absolutely nails it with the way he blames everything on Mitch Connor, who's already taken a cyanide pill, and just kills him off by waving his hand in the wind like that actually means something.
Looks like the sun is going down. I wonder, will I dream?
I love the like noir-esque dialogue that Cartman comes up with for this final speech. It's almost like the episode did a genre shift along with the fake reveal that Jennifer Lopez never existed. And I feel like Kyle protesting the stupidity of that reveal is almost like Trey and Matt making fun of themselves. It's like they're saying, yeah, we know this is stupid, but we're still gonna do it anyway because it's awesome. But of course, from the characters' perspectives, it worked. It gets rid of the cops and the studio execs and the Ben Affleck, leading us to the true conclusion of Cartman's storyline in this episode, the one-up over Kyle that he so desperately wanted and tortured himself to get.
With all the crazy stuff that goes on in this town, isn't it possible, just possible, that something I don't understand happened here?
All right, I guess it's possible.
I got you kinda, I got you kinda.
Now that should have been the end of the episode, in my opinion. That right there was the punchline that makes this one of the best endings in the show, and it's also the perfect release that brings us back to reality. Nothing that happened in the episode was real. Cartman was just psychotically focused on his goal of messing with Kyle, and that's it. I even thought about ending the video right there just so it would feel like the ending, but I can't because it's not the real ending, and there's a good reason for that. Because like I said at the beginning of this video, this is not a Cartman character study. It's not a true Cartman episode. It's a Jennifer Lopez takedown episode. And so with that in mind, it's only fitting that the last scene would be dedicated to her and not to Cartman. Which brings us to the real final punchline of the episode, where a now disgraced Jennifer Lopez is stuck working at a Mexican fast food restaurant that treats her with no respect. The ultimate punishment for her character in the ultimate takedown episode.
This is bullshit! How the f did I end up working at a La Taco? I had 6 platinum records and I starred in 5 Hollywood movies!
Yeah, me too.